The other day, one of our forum members by the name of Steve Gibson was asking about using biots for wings on dry flies. And I believe he was talking about goose biots, but I thought what I would do is just demonstrate how I use turkey biots, technique I learned directly through Rene Harrop, a very well-known fly tyer and fisher person located out west. And what he uses is turkey biot. And this is actually developed through Rene and distributed by McKinsey. Don't even know if they make it anymore, but they certainly make the turkey wing through possibly see if we can get better. Nature's Spirit turkey biot quills. And these, just like Rene's, are processed in preen oil so that they're already ready to go and that they float like cork. And you can also pick up the preen oil by the bottle so that when you need to redress your fly, you're using Mother Nature's fly floatant. And you can get yourself in trouble sometimes using different types of floatant on these that have been processed in preen oil. So you want to sort of be careful with that. But out of the package, they're just primary wing quills. You get a right and a left, and that's important when you're tying your wings. You want to use a right and you want to use a left for near side and far side. And the part of the feather that we're interested in is the leading edge, and that is known as the biot. And I'm sure most of you already know that, but the main difference, I guess, between turkey and other biots is just the length. And it's just, these things are huge. They're very, very long. And like any other biot, you can use these things for multiple, for an array of flies. You can use them for tails, you can use them for wings, as you'll see here, bodies, as you'll see here, antenna, wing cases. So it's a real good feather. And what I thought that I would do in this video is just maybe tie up a blue-winged olive using the biot. So let's see if we can put one together. So what we're going to do is we're going to strip off a biot from each side. And once we've done that, then we're going to put them together back to back so that there's a little bit of a splay in them. Alright? And then what I'm going to do is cut the butts so they're good and even. And then on the back edge we're going to cut some length there, make a long cut there, and on the front edge we're going to make a short cut. This is just sort of to give it that mayfly silhouette. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tie the wing in, and the wing is equal to the length of the shank. And I'm going to be about a 1/16 or actually a quarter of the way back. We're going to tie those in with the soft loop, pinch, pull. One more time. Alright. Then while holding those butts, we'll pull up on them, give them a clip. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull back on the wings, build a small dam. And then I'm going to do a figure 8. And don't be afraid to grab those wings and make them do what you want them to do. I'm just sort of setting them where I want them. Now they're in pretty good position. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap a thread foundation and work my way to the back of the fly to where the thread wraps and right at the barb. Then I'm going to come forward a little bit. Then what we're going to do is tie in a tail. And I'm just going to grab a spade hackle, which is a hackle off the side of a neck here. I just leave them right on, but for the purpose of this I'll pull it off. And a spade hackle is great for tailing. It's quite a bit stiffer, a little bit darker feather. Great for tails. I'm going to grab, I don't know, maybe a dozen. Pull those off and try to keep the tips lined up. I'm going to set it on the near side. And the length is equal to the length of the shank. That's pretty good right there. I'm going to hold those as I wrap my thread back to the barb. And then that last turn I'm just going to go behind and under. And that'll just sort of help splay those out a little bit. And then I'm just going to lock that in. Now I'm going to come back, and what we're going to do is we're going to tie in the Biot. And the interesting thing about Biots is you can tie it in two ways. You can tie it in so that when you wrap the body it's fuzzy, or you can tie it in so that when you wrap the body it's nice and clean and flat. And the way that you determine that is there's a notch on the quill. So like when you pull this Biot off, if you look and you keep the notch, it's very hard to see in this video, but if you keep the notch to the left and you wrap forward, that will give you a flat body, and that's what we're going to want to try to do in this video. But I think first what I'm going to do is I'm going to form a small underbody, and all I'm just going to use is a little bit of dubbing that's close to the same color as the blue-winged olive Biot. We don't want much. We just want to build up a little bit of a underbody so we have a little bit of a taper. Makes for a nicer looking fly, a little bit more balanced fly. And if you have too much, that's okay. Just pull that off. Trim some of the fuzzies out of there. That tailing material is pushing forward on the wing a little bit. Get that out of there. Alright, so now we're going to tie that Biot in so that the notch is facing towards the back of the fly. I'm going to tie that down pretty good. I have had problems with that pulling out. Alright, and I'll pass that to the near side. Carefully begin wrapping forward. And these are overlapping wraps. And once we get right up there, I'm going to follow the quill with my thread. They do have a tendency sometimes to want to split on you. So if you follow it or chase it that tends to prevent that from happening. Cut that off. Go ahead and get some good wraps of thread on there. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab a couple size 14 hackles, which I've already got sitting here, and set one on top of the other, line them up a little bit here, line the tips up. Strip out some of the barbs. You can tie these in one at a time or together, whichever you're comfortable with doing. And then I face it so that the dull side of the feather is facing forward. One important thing that you want to do or remember when you're tying in hackles, if you've had problems, is that you leave a little bit of a space here so that the actual barbasoles are not resting on the fly itself. Because what ends up happening, if those barbules are resting right against the body, that first turn, all the barbules are going to want to point back on you. And that just doesn't look natural. I'm just going to take a very, very small amount of dubbing, and I'm just going to color the thread and build up the slightest amount of a thorax area. Just makes it look a little fuller. Not too full, you don't want too much on there. Maybe a little bit too much, but we'll take a chance. And then grab a set of hackle pliers and wrap your first hackle. I try to get 3 turns behind and finish it out up front, but I'm going to tell you something, fish don't count. But we want it to balance out pretty well. Hopefully we'll get that right. As I said, 3 behind. You secure it with 3 to 4 turns. And then repeat the process with the second hackle. And if you fear trapping barbules down from previous wraps, just sort of seesaw it through a little bit. That should help. And then go ahead and half hitch it, or whip finish, whatever you like to use. And if you have any little barbules that are trapped, now's the time to go ahead and trim them out. And then you can use a very small amount of head cement. And I'll tell you what, I've fished these blue-winged olives, and in fact, there's no reason why you can't. As you can see, it's nice and splayed out. There's the top section. I know it's a little blurry, but I'll pull back a little bit on this. Sorry about that, guys. But there's no reason why you can't use several colors. I mean, I have the browns, caddis greens, light Cahill. They come in every color. Pale morning duns. But I would suggest that you give this pattern a try. It's a very durable. Turkey Biot is just fantastic. It's durable. The wings are nice and soft. Much more durable than a standard feather wing. I think it makes a great profile. It's a very nice looking fly. So give it a try. If you have any questions, just PM me. That one's for you, Steve.